Hello everyone, welcome to Physical Embodiment Studio. My name is Riley Burris and I am a licensed massage therapist as well as a yoga teacher and empowerment coach. Today I have a medicine cabinet video. This is a low back routine for mobility. This is going to be like popping an Advil for your low back. So this is something you can use every day, anytime you're feeling some pain, or maybe if you would like to get ahead of some pain that you normally get. So this is designed to get blood to flow easier in your low back and take care of your hips as well. So let's get started. Okay, so what you're gonna wanna do is get down on a mat or the floor. You need no equipment for this routine. So know this is something you can do from anywhere. Go ahead and sit with your legs out in front of you, just like this. And you're gonna wanna drop your knees to the side. And right away, you're going to wanna note if you feel, go ahead and switch to the other side. You're gonna wanna note if you feel any restriction in one side versus the other. Sometimes our hips feel different, and that's okay. So dropping and just windshield wipering your knees from side to side. Knees are bent here, feet are on the floor, sit bones are on the floor, hands supporting you, dropping side to side. This is just a gentle warm up, so we can start easy here. Okay, and we're gonna wanna get onto our hands and knees here. So, knees are kind of spread apart, feet are spread apart. We're going to just kind of move our upper bodies around as our ball and socket joint of our hips get some grease in there. This is like WD-40, tucking the pelvis, extending it out, rotating from one side to the other, chest forward, tucking the tailbone, extending it back out, rolling forward to the other side. So getting into a flow that feels good for you, tucking the pelvis, extending it back out from a different angle, rotating all around here. And then when you start to feel like you have a good handle on this, I was trying to make a pun, it didn't show up. And you can start to come forward and feel, being on your knees, how that changes the access in these joints. If you're not really understanding what I'm doing, it's totally okay. Just go ahead and feel into your body. Take this time to just move your hips around. I don't know if you grew up with SpongeBob in your home, but it's the bring it around town move. So we're bringing it around town. SpongeBob knew a thing or two about hip mobility, okay? So we're kind of pulling, maybe we're squeezing the glutes to actually push into the hip flexors here. Not necessary, but an option, in case you're looking to kind of get a deeper stretch. One thing about muscle movements is understanding when you contract and tighten one muscle, it actually lengthens out the opposite muscle. So as we contract the glutes here, we're lengthening out the hip flexors in a beautiful stretch. So clients always tell me, I really should stretch more. And my rebuttal to them is working out or activating your muscles will actually give you the best stretch possible versus just something that's more passive and temporary with the nervous system. Everything is a tensegrity system. Okay, balancing back out, we now have greased up our beautiful hips, our ball and socket joint moving around. We have so much flexibility in our hips. And why are we doing this? This relates to the low back. If our hips can move the way that they're supposed to, it will not be attached to our low back. We actually get more movement. So one last thing for the hips. Go ahead and sit back onto your sit bones And bring these legs out into a 90 degree, 90 degree. So one leg is going to be out just like this in a right angle, and then you're going to extend the other one out into a right angle as well. You've probably done this in an actual gym class, or maybe someone has taught you this beautiful mobility exercise right here. So we're starting like this, and what we're going to do is switch to the other side. So placing our feet on the ground and moving into a 90-90 on the opposite side here. So feeling that stretch, just kind of letting it settle. No need to rush into the next pose. And we're going to move again. So bringing these knees back around, doing another 90-90 to the original side. We're going to do 2 more rounds of this. Breathing here, just allowing it to settle. Noticing if one of your hips has less rotation on internal or external rotation. Just making a note for yourself, switching to the other side. Okay. For me, I noticed that this is my left leg, and my left leg has a little work to do on internal rotation. So all that anatomy term means is rotating your femur bone, so in your thigh here, inward towards your body, towards the midline of your body. So if you hear someone say internal rotation, that's what they're talking about. External rotation is just the opposite, rotating the femur externally. So I noticed that my internal rotation of my left leg has some work to do. So I like to give it a little bit of focus. You may notice something different about yourself. Typically, I find that when people have low back issues, they have some hip disconnection as well. So that's why we start here. You can't always chase the pain. You can't get stuck in your pain, because we need to look at it from a whole system, a holistic approach, and see where in the chain we are having the mix-up, the freezing, the contracting. Where is the nervous system tightening up? So, just a little practitioner, therapist, licensed massage therapist talk for you. They pay me to do this. Okay, so bringing those 90-90s back in, what we're going to do is transfer over to a Cobra. So now this is where we're getting into the low back. So if this feels like a lot to you, going straight into a Cobra or an upward facing dog, then don't do it. If your low back is like, that's crazy, girl, lower it down and bring it into a sphinx pose. So on these elbows. If that is still too much for you, all I want you to do is come down to your elbows just like this. So I've just given you 3 different options here, and all we're doing is just reversing this motion in the back. A lot of the times we spend with our chest caved forward, putting a lot of strain on the low back as it disconnects from the full body chain. So this is the opposite movement here. We're bringing in extension of the spine, rounding the chest forward, bringing that sternum bone up, and we are actually taking the compression out of the front body, and we are shortening the muscles in the low back. This gives them a lot of release. Again, don't push here. We're just hanging out here for a few more breaths, so allow yourself to settle in. We're actually stretching our psoas muscle in the front as well, the front of our body. It's a deep low back muscle, so we're stretching that out, giving it some love. And we will also do the inverse of this next. So we're going to do some down dog. Next, not yet. Just settle into this pose, knowing in a few moments we're going to send it up and back. Perfect. Excellent. Feeling that blood flow coming into these aching muscles and helping them out. Okay, so when you're ready, tucking your toes under, go ahead and lower back down to the ground for a moment, pushing yourself up, maintaining alignment so that low back feels good, walking into a downward facing dog. Now, when we get here, bending our knees. We're not trying to get perfect pose here. This is just a practice for getting blood to flow. So tipping your hips side to side, lengthening out an important muscle in the back, the QL muscle, or quadratus lumborum. And when you're ready, letting those heels sink towards the floor, pushing into your hands and feet actively. Good. Resting here. Just one more moment. Breathing in and releasing. So setting it down, bending the knees, coming down into a seated position here. So just allowing yourself to settle. Sometimes it's a lot being upside down. And now what we're going to do is send our hands forward into puppy pose. So crawling on our elbows. When we find that right extension, arms out in front of us, big toes touch, knees are out, and we are just in the middle here, stretching out this low back. This is wonderful for a low back. Your hips are kind of held in that position, and then your vertebrae are allowed to stretch out and decompress here. Bring your forehead to your mat if you haven't done so already, and maintain that spinal alignment. I'm trying to talk to you guys, so I'm keeping that eye contact with the camera, but go ahead and bring your forehead down to the mat so you can really get the most out of this. Breathe. Go ahead and stay there. Really allowing those low back muscles, those ribs to open up with each inhalation, and release and wring any tension out with each exhale. The puppy pose is so good. In yoga therapy, we learned puppy pose is amazing for the low back. Really, you can heal yourself. It's so, so good. With the right resources, you've got it. Okay, closing it out with one final inhale here, wherever you're at. And on the exhale, sitting back into child's pose. So just releasing the arms, any tension you had holding puppy pose, let it all go here in child's pose. Forehead is on the mat. Knees have spilled out to the side. Hips are resting above the heels. Again, that tension melting out of the low back here. Knowing this practice is available to you at any time. Remembering that health is wealth and mobility is very simple. In fact, it's often why most people don't get it done, is because it seems so trivial, so simple. How could this make a difference? Your habits create the life that you live. By the fact that you chose to get this far in this video and do these routines, tells me that you're ready to do something, to take action. And you've done it. Now you get to decide when you use these movements. You don't need this video to use these again. I design these routines to be simple. Simple enough so that you use them again and again and they become your own. So with one last inhalation here in this pose, on your exhale, slowly crawling yourself back up to a seat. We will close this mobility routine out together and making any adjustments that you need after this routine. Perfect. So start to bring those hands together, creating some heat, some internal fire. And we're going to place them over our eyes for just a brief moment. And now send them up and over the head, down the back. And then we want to come to rest on that low back, putting our hands that we just created fire energy with on our low back. And since we are in an alpha wave brain state here, let's go ahead and tap into the power of this by saying we direct, instruct, command, and compel our low back to heal itself. We command our bodies to heal this pain, this low back, these hips, heal them now. And restore them to their perfect health. And give us the energy to take care of our bodies when we need it. You can move the hands to the hips now as well. You have the power to heal yourself. And you just tapped into it. This is available to you at any time, like I've said. Perfect. Closing it out. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are here for you whenever you need this medicine cabinet video here on Physical Embodiment Studio. Please comment if this was powerful for you. We'd love to hear from you. Like, subscribe to the channel for more resources just like this. I am Coach Riley, and I will see you next time.